Welcome to Rauta, welcome to Underground Trio, episode 59. I'm Jerry, and this time once again we dive deep into the world of underground metal. This time we have two black metal releases, one death metal one, and these are all from different parts of the world. We have one digipack, two jewel cases, one of them is MCD, so two full albums and all that stuff. Now, these are all a little bit different styles, so once again, comparison as such is not exactly in place. But however, as always, with Underground Trio concept, I'll go from worst to best, according to my own opinion. Feel free to disagree, that's the beauty of it. So, without further introductions, without further words, let's do it. And first we'll go to, if I recall correctly, Argentina with Necrocarnation. This is a band that has been there quite some time, like 20 years or so, but never been exactly an active band. First release was out around 2007, and since that the band has really not done much. The thing here is, they started as a solo project as far as I could tell, and later on the band kind of got another member in the band, so becoming a duo instead of solo project, and the result is this MCD that already came out about maybe 3 years ago. So this is the case here, an MCD with about 15 minutes of music. This is a little bit curious case, to be honest, because the thing here is, this is kind of like old school death metal, where you have those almost demonic growly vocals, like growls beyond the grave, and then you have really simple, I'm talking about really simple death metal riffs the old school way. Some of them are barely like two chords being played, and then you just like dun dun, and drums go on. Now, for a while, it might be like, okay, this is pretty gloomy and dark start and all, but you will later on, when you give it more spins, like, okay, maybe this is something that already, I don't know, went through the progression and evolution already back in the 70s or 80s by that time, that you need a little bit more than those two chords. Sometimes it's maybe three, like, boom, like, imagine the level of progression here. So this is very boneheaded, really simple, old school death metal. Sometimes it works because it's so simple and dark. And sometimes you feel just more like, I don't know, even your little brother, sister, baby girl can play more than that. Now, the demonic growls are quite cool, but they also feel a little bit unfitting. I mean, this is the kind of a death metal that more like would require certain more traditional take. It's almost like, I don't know if it's just because of effects used, or if it's more like a, I don't know, learned way to do the vocals, but they are a little bit weird. They're kind of a badass because they are so demonic, but at the same time they're also a little bit, like I said, unfitting. Drum-wise, this is not exactly the most technical out there, but I mean, they kind of keep the pounding powerful background here. Overall, however, the production is, how would I say, more like rehearsal room, demo-like recording. Not exactly super fitting, super supporting for this kind of stuff. So it's more like, yeah, you're kind of getting there eventually. But if the band has been there for more than 20 years, and this is the result, I don't know what kind of advice I can give to you. Now, if you like old school death metal, you don't mind it sounding very simplistic and kind of a rehearsal room, like maybe Necrocarnation is something that you might find fascinating. As always, links provided in the description box. Then we go totally into different territory with the band called, try to pronounce it properly, Yaotl Mictlan. Now, maybe you figured out from the name and the cover that this is actually coming from the places like Latin America. If I got the information correct, this is originally from Mexico, and later on moved to United States, like Salt Lake City or something. What is also worth mentioning, because I've mentioned it previous times with bands leaning right-wing, some bands being even far-right bands. This band is said to be far left supported band. Sagrada Tierra del Jaguar, or is it Jaguar? If I got the name correctly, it would be like Sacred Land or Sacred Ground of the Jaguar. So yes, this is very, very much like, I don't know if it's Aztec or something like that kind of a feeling, but yeah, old school, native Mexican people. And as you can see, a lot of names and stuff like that is mentioned here, in that it's not really leaning towards English and all that stuff. And here it says Salt Lake City. But yeah, this is weird case because it's kind of a US-based band doing about Mexican culture and all that stuff, and then you have these far left politics. So whoever says and keeps saying that Rauta is always doing some kind of too many far right bands, well, they're more active than far left bands. I don't care either way. Send your far right, far left bands or non-political bands preferably, and we'll talk about that as well. Anyway, whatever the political inclinations are, I don't really care. I'm here to talk about music, and this is the more atmospheric kind of stuff. To be honest, when I was getting this, when I got this CD for review, I was expecting some kind of a weird, folky, Mexican black metal approach, like being very, very unique in nature. Think of Hibalba from Mexico, which is, in my opinion, the best Mexican band ever. Like doing the black metal in the very, very native ways, if you will. Very different than your typical Nordic stuff and all. I was expecting this to do something similar, even if it's black metal or whatever. But here it seems like it's only very, very light seasoning. Like here and there towards the end, you can see like, okay, some kind of a flute is being played and all that stuff. But for the rest of the album, which lasts almost 60 minutes, I'm more like, okay, this is pretty basic atmospheric black metal. No highlights, no high points, no weak points as such, but it's more like very traditional second wave black metal. Not the most aggressive, not the most passive. That is, it's not really that fast, not really slow, but from mid-tempo to faster parts. And then you have rather traditional black metal riffs, which are not exactly unique or very inspiring. I'm not saying this is bad, but somehow very forgettable, because a lot of these riffs and parts with guitar or whatever are just something that you probably heard a million times. Then there are also some weirder melodies or riffs which don't sound like, okay, this is some native folky stuff from Central or North America, but more like, what is this? And then you're like, okay, maybe this riff doesn't really fit black metal bill, but let these guys do what they want. Production-wise, pretty standard. Nothing super cool here, but not bad either. And the same goes with the rather raspy vocal style. Once again, not something that you can like really hate or dislike, but not really praise either. So this is one of those kind of a lukewarmish albums. Can't really bitch about it, but I wish it only had more like memorable moments. Something that you would like, yeah, give me more of this. So maybe I'm a tad bit disappointed because I was hoping some kind of a Hibalba kind of take with this stuff. But if you want something different, maybe this is worth your time, but just don't expect too different, even though geographical wise the band is coming from another corner of the earth. Then we have this band called Arna, which is here with a nice looking digibook. Well, not digibook, but A5 size digipack. As you can see, this is still very basic digipack in other terms, except that the size is bigger. There is no booklet. All the lyrics is just right here. Then you have, of course, the CD, and underneath a candle image, and that's pretty much that. Two guys doing music, and this is a relatively new band. I think this came out maybe 2021, so it's not that old, but not exactly very fresh from the oven. Signal Rex being from Portugal, these guys from Barcelona, Spain, surprised me totally. There's nothing really Spanish sounding with this one, but certain kind of, I would also say, always more like, say, North European. Maybe not Nordic exactly, but more like traditional second wave black metal coming from the Nordic part of the world, and they do their music actually fine. I think this is a good release. It's not very lengthy. It's something like 29 minutes or something like that. But this is like working well. I mean, the riffs, the atmosphere, the production, The vocals, it's like, yeah, I'm enjoying this. Maybe not too memorable, to be honest, so maybe not able to challenge a lot of those so-called classic albums. But something very, very potentially stirring with this one, because I think this is something that the guys are like, okay, we're gonna do some album and it's kind of good, and then you start honing and polishing the style and you're like, okay, it's gonna really, really do nicely when you go beyond the initial release or all the first songs and all that stuff. Kind of a traditional and as such not exactly unique take on black metal. But if you are one of those who just like stick with the second wave, you don't need weird gimmicks and whatever, this is the kind of stuff that you probably want to check it out. So this is, in my opinion, the best of the pile. Now, of course, you decide for yourself, and as always, links are provided in the description box, so you can click them and find more information about the bands and listen to their music through Bandcamp and what have you. But of course, if you like physical products, they're all available. Now, of course, because these are a little bit older by now, I don't know how the situation with the distribution and retail copies are right now, but I'm sure you will find your magical Googling skills worthwhile here while you're trying to look for them to buy in case you like the music in the first place. Now, as always, should you have questions or comments, just drop a comment in the comments box below and I'll get back to you. Now, off you go. I hope you like some of these stuff, and if you don't, well, maybe next episode we'll have something special for you. Take care and stay brutal, stay metal, stay true.